Hello, Zoe here. This is a brief review of the brand new OpenAI Operator platform. I will show you how to prompt Operator to perform a task for you, along with some thoughts on the future. Let's get started. This platform is available to ChatGPT Pro subscribers. You just visit operator.chatgpt.com and you get to this prompt here and this screen. So I'll kind of walk you through how this works. Now we're familiar with the standard ChatGPT, give it a prompt, generate a story, a piece of content, answer a question, do research, things of that nature. Responds with text. In Operator, the prompt is, what can I help you do? Operator is a little bit different, where the default interaction right now is you put a prompt in and it opens a website, kind of RPA style, robotic process automation, and attempts to mimic human behavior on a website. So you have some canned examples here, like find a restaurant with a happy hour Wednesday, find 2 tickets for the next concert at the Sphere. You could click it. Once you click it, it kind of pre-prompts you and it puts in an address if you have one. And you can hit this button and it'll automatically open up the website and log in and attempt to find the tickets. You can see a summary of what it's doing. At any given moment, you can expand it to see specifically what it's doing. And you can give feedback and like, dislike it. So I'm going to collapse this. This is an interesting example. Almost all of the use cases, or I should say all of the use cases that I found on the initial page were kind of like single page examples of it doing these kind of canned things for you. Top headlines, summarization, so some pretty cool features and functionality. I will say I tried some more unique examples because I was thinking to myself, all right, so this is super cool, but I started thinking about AI agents and replacing humans, and a lot of our workflows are grab data and then do something with it, or visit 5 websites in a chain and do things of that nature. And even though they don't have examples of that, Operator can do that. And so I'll actually just type in my very first example. My thoughts were, can I send this data over to a webhook? Now, by default, OpenAI's Operator doesn't have access to functions or APIs or anything else. It's like a browser only, kind of in a walled garden. But literally, this is the prompt I typed, and I was amazed. So I just simply said, please find all of the NBA games tomorrow and tell me what teams are playing. Send the results in a post request to, and I'm just going to put a webhook here, copy address, and I'm just going to run this webhook so it starts waiting for data. And then I'm going to say, once you have prepared a post request with the NBA game schedule, please go ahead and send it to the provided URL. I'm just going to click run. So it's going to go to work for me. And this was the very first prompt that I had it do, or had it run for me essentially. And let's see what it does here. Now, here's what was super interesting about this. I didn't tell it to do this. I literally just said, send a post request, and I was just going to see what it did. it literally searches for some online tools. And I will tell you, the one thing about this is it doesn't always do the same thing every time. So this request bin is where it went. That Postman website it just visited before, it didn't do that the last time I ran this. It still ended up going here, but essentially it's searching online like a little robotic human, just trying to figure out how to get this task done for me. And it's just knocking it out. So it's going to a testing tool to send me data to my webhook. That's kind of ingenious. I actually would have never thought of that. Now it says there's a potential risk because it's an external endpoint. It's my endpoint. I'm going to mark safe and resume. And essentially, if it works out, it's going to send me this data. It's entering the game schedule in JSON format. And would it like me to post this request? Yes, I would. And then it should post the request here any minute. The response I should see. There you go. And there's the response, and here's the games that are playing. So it found some data and sent it in a post request. Now, I didn't ask it to go to request bin. It figured that out all on its own. I've never actually even been to this website, so it kind of just figured out how to do it. Now that I know that, I could probably save this. One other feature I forgot to mention is at any point in time, you can take control of the browser and then you can start clicking around and then you can finish up when you want and tell it what you did and then return control to the operator. So if ever you're trying to log into a password protected website, you can take control and log in and then give control back and tell the operator, hey, I logged into the website for you. Super interesting example of what it does. Now, what you can do is you can save that task or I can share it. Now that I've saved the task, this is where I could actually put in the websites instead of having it randomly look. I can be like, no, go to request bin or go wherever. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And then where you'll find the task is if you just hit operator.chatgpt.com, you'll see NBA game schedule. So now I see this task here and I can just log in and just click the button. Couple caveats. You will have to go through the prompts. So this particular automation or I don't know what you even call this task, I guess. This particular task does require human intervention. So if I start to run this and walk away and grab coffee and come back, it's going to say, hey, this is unsecured website and do you want me to do this? Now, potentially with prompting, you could fix that, potentially. I'm not sure. I haven't tried anything that was successful, but I'd imagine in the future you could say pre-approve or whatever you want. Maybe word it a little differently and then you won't get those prompts. But some of these actions will require human intervention. But ideally, the best thing would be if I could just click a task and then just go run and do something or move to a different window and come back and like, oh, it's done. I saved myself 5 minutes for whatever I was trying to accomplish. So super cool. Couple other things about the platform. You'll notice here, this sidebar has your chats that you have. Operator has a limit to the chats. I think it's like 10 or something. I know at one point I had 10 or 15. And when I tried to do another one, it said, you have too many active conversations going. So it's unlike ChatGPT that seemed to be endless, where you could have conversations for weeks and just keep going back to it. This one, I had less, it was halfway down the screen and it wouldn't let me do any more until I went back here and I deleted some recent conversations. So there is a limit to how many active conversations you have, so you'll have to clean out the old ones. So that is what I've played with Operator, super interesting. You could do screenshots and stuff as well from attachments and whatnot and add those in your prompt. Now, I will say that obviously this is going to advance really fast. I'm impressed with what they've done at this point in time. There's some caveats. Now, let's talk about the good. It's going to replace so many automations. So, I run an automation agency. We build integrations between platforms, AI. We do build AI agents, but very specific. We're not just prompting, like we're being very specific about the actions we want them to perform and the logic. But with things like this eliminates the need for some of that. If this gets really good, I'd imagine some of the simpler automations might just be operator actions. I don't know. I think about RPA software is $1 billion industry, robotic process automation, and that's essentially what those platforms are. Is you are mimicking human behavior with a browser window in a VPC or in a browser with a plugin or something, but you're mimicking human behavior. And this is doing it maybe with computer vision. I guess I'm not sure exactly how they're doing some of it, computer vision, and I'm sure they're parsing the HTML maybe in real time, but way better than programming something and then your page changes and your automations break, right? I've built platforms where we're scraping stuff with Selenium and we're trying to automate some things and then they update their site. You got to go in and change it. So this is just so disruptive. Now, it does run in the cloud. There are some other caveats. So for instance, when I first did that MBA example, what my initial prompt was please find all of the games on NBA.com and tell me who is playing tomorrow. When I first did this a few hours ago, this worked. And now check this out. When I do it now, I get a prompt and it's going to say, wait for it. Oh, it works again. Okay. We'll never mind that. But here's what's scary. When I did this, at first it worked. And then when I did it maybe like an hour ago, it said access to NBA.com has been blocked. So what is interesting is because Operator is essentially using a series of IP addresses that are going to be visiting some of these common sites millions of times, is them potentially blocking access to their websites, right? And that's what happened. I mean, it's back. I thought it was going to happen again, but it was blocked for like an hour. I was testing different things and NBA.com was blocked, so I changed the prompt to just find the games online. So there is a risk there. Obviously, this is back, and this chat just called me a liar, but previously it said access to NBA.com is blocked, so I couldn't do it. So that is a thought. There is companies that don't want Operator to be interacting. They don't want robots to be interacting with things like testing sites, or there's just so many different ways you could maybe be nefarious or whatever. They have the ability to block it. So then will OpenAI have proxy ability? Can you self-host some of this, or maybe through Microsoft or something? It'll be interesting to see how that plays out as companies decide whether they want agents acting like humans who aren't humans. So that's a consideration. There's no file store right now, so I can't actually download files and interact with them in any type of way. It's just browser to browser interaction. Hopefully in the future, I'm sure there'll be files, there will be function calling. Maybe you can call APIs that you plug in or something, but it'll be way more dynamic. I mean, this is just a preview, but if judging the history of how fast this stuff moves, this is definitely going to replace a lot of VAs, and and a lot of manual tasks that a person might do. Your whole workflow might change, right? I'm imagining a world where some people, that is their job, right, or their function is to come in and essentially help companies, build for this new architecture that's in place. So anyways, super interesting. Hope this little review was useful in getting started thinking how Operator could work for your workflows. But that's all I have. We'll see how long this video actually stays relevant given how fast they change things. But anyways, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one.